Well, hey there, this is Jerry bringing you another episode of What's Broke Today, and today we're doing the front brakes on my 77 F150. Yeah, as you can see, the brakes are hitting metal to metal, and I don't know how long these have been on here, so I've got a bunch of new parts, so let me walk you over and show you what all I got. Now, for doing my brake job, I got two brand new rotors, two brand new calipers, a left and a right brake hose. My new, these are Wagner thermoquiet ceramic brake pads. I've got grease seals, inner bearings, outer bearings for both sides. So, yeah, let's go over there and get started on this. All right, to get started, I got to take the bolt out that goes into the caliper bracket, which is sometime or another in its life I must have changed it out from the screw that was in it to this Allen screw. And then if we get that out, then we got to knock this slider out. And get that out of the way, and of course it's got, I don't know, retention hardware and then an anti-rattle spring. And then, I don't know if you noticed, but the rotor was extremely grooved. So I'm going to bet that last time this had brakes put on it, which, like I say, I have no idea how long ago that's been, that there's a good chance that either myself or my dad are the ones that did it, and we didn't take the rotors off and have them turned, is my guess. And probably I'm thinking the main reason I got new calipers was because I don't know how long these have been on here, and for all I know, these still could be the original ones. But we'll pull that up off there, and I mean, it is. Yeah, all the, just got a little bit of material left, and it comes off super easy. And the nice thing about these trucks is to, you know, the top of the spring perch is a great place to set the caliper while you're working. Oh yeah, and the inner pad, you can see all the grooves, but it was down hitting rivets as well. Pull the dust cap off. That's another thing, I don't remember if we ever repacked these wheel bearings. I can't picture that at some time we hadn't, or, you know, I'm sure we have, but I just don't remember. And looking in here, I'm going to almost guess that we might not have. I have to go get a new Carter key because the ear on that one just broke. And you should change them out anyway when you got them apart. Okay. Yeah, because I mean that's yeah, that shows no signs of ever being apart. Of course, it's as loud as the exhaust is. Even if I had, they were making noise, I probably wouldn't have heard them. I mean, this really isn't a bad job. I mean, it's when you got all new parts. And I just poke that a little bit, and then I pull out my bearing. Yeah, it doesn't really look bad. I got to reuse the washer, so I'll wipe it off and clean it up. Same way with the nut. Even though, I mean, the very little grease on either one of those, then our rotor can slide off. Yeah, I will bet that is all OEM factory grease from 1977. But yeah, that spindle looks good. Inner bearing spins free, but we can definitely see and someday or another this thing's been metal to metal before, because it's got the grooves where the rivets would be. And yeah, even the outer bearing, it feels good. So get all that, wipe that all off. That looks good. Sometime in the future, if I ever do any other restoration work, you know, if I wasn't where I was wanting to drive the truck and it's supposed to rain tomorrow, I'd take those heat shields, these off, and paint them. But I think they'll be okay. So let me go grab a wire brush. I'm just going to clean up where the brake pad's riding the caliper. Okay. Now let's go get some rotor ready. As I get ready to get my bearings going, I'm going to do a light wipe out inside of the rotor and the bearing race there, and drop in the new bearing. Just make sure it turns smooth in there, because the races were already inside of the new rotors. And of course I took caliper paint and painted the part of it. Oh yeah, that feels nice. Oh yeah, that feels good. So, since I'm doing wheel bearing grease, something you'll very rarely see Jerry wearing. Yep. May have to go and get new ones. These may have been in the toolbox too long, or got sun and it made them fragile. Yep. Always have extra of these in the toolbox, but I think sunlight hitting them and the UV rays deteriorates them, because, you know, I go get a set that hadn't been out in the sun, and they go on just fine without. And of course, you'll find I edit out things like me putting the gloves on. But we'll take bearing number 1, put in the bearing packer. And basically I just push it down till I got grease coming up through there. I got a little bit over there, but not quite as much. Then we can set that. Well, I still got to rub some grease in the hole, so we'll just get rid of that. Oh yeah, that looks good. And we're done with that. Now I'm going to take my tub of grease, take a fingerful, and just smear inside here. On the bearing race and down in the cavity, just to fill her up a little. Like so. And then need a little bit on the lips of my seals. Maybe they just lube the lip of that seal so it doesn't burn. And now that I got my grease in here, I can go one and one. Take that seal and lay up there. Up there. Alright, got that all the way in. That looks good, so I move the camera over and we'll get the setup to put these on. Alright, now that I'm dealing with wheel bearings, I'm actually going to put wheel bearings all the way back together on both sides. Okay, now we're going to go to the other side. Now flip this rotor over and take some grease and rub on that race. That's basically what it looks like when I get done. Then same thing, grab the rotor as best you can by the outer rim and gently push it up on there. And bearing. And then same thing on the, you can see on the one side of the washer, the shiny ring that's small, and then the bigger ring that's wider. I'm putting the wider one out because that's what was against the bearing. Now I'm going to lose my rubber gloves. Because shouldn't need them no more. I'll take just an adjustable wrench and tighten up the nut. I'm going to snug it up pretty good. I'm going to spin the rotor. Now I'm going to snug it up a little more. And all I'm doing here is when I tighten it up and I spin it, I'm getting all that grease that was in those bearings kind of pushed out of the bearing. And then without turning the rotor, I'm going to loosen that up where I can turn it by hand. And then just turn it in just a little bit until it's tight. And I may give that just a hair more since I have new bearings, but not much. Then we'll take our crown retainer, and the hole goes front to back, so I just got to find the position where this goes on. And I can put a Carter key through it. Now, of course, I went and got a new one. Now I'm going to go over and get to this point on the other side. Now I turn that a little more. It's probably like, going from 5 to maybe 10 seconds on the clock at the most. I'm back to the driver's side and ask the question, well, why did he go do the passenger side and didn't finish this? Well, it's because this was over on the other side. I didn't want to, if everybody's going to go get it, I might as well just finish that side. So we go there and I also went and got a different pair of pliers for doing this. Really didn't need those great big things I was using. The smaller version of those is out in the barn somewhere. And same thing as I did on the other side, I'm going to wipe out the dust cap. I mean, not that big a deal, but figured while I'm here, I might as well wipe it out. Okay, and there's that. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I've got the caliper that goes on the driver's side. I'm going to take my outboard pad, put it up in the caliper, and it's kind of wobbly and loose. So I'm just going to set it down on the concrete and bend those ears down a little and then put her back up on here and see that I didn't really bend them much. Getting those bent, trying to be too gentle, but I'm just going to basically, take until I get all the slop out. And then the inboard pad, which is under my camera, since it slides in the bracket, anybody that's ever worked at a Nissan dealer will know this stuff. It's PBC grease, which is just a high temperature brake grease that I'm going to apply at the top of the pad, and then this little anti-rattle clip, it goes on the bottom. Yeah, it goes the other way. Yeah, I have to think every time I put one of these on. There we go, get it up on there. And I'll take some PBC grease. Put on there. Then I can take my pad and put it in the bracket. Alright, and then the next thing, now I'm also going to take PBC grease, and where this slides in the top, putting a thin coating of it on, and I'm going to flip it over for the bottom and do the same thing. And most of you aren't going to do this, but this is just something I like to do. So, as foolish as you may find this to be, and I'm going to take my anti-rattle clip and put just a little bit of it there, and a little bit up in the groove. Now get my spring, and then I'll go ahead and take, well, it don't matter if I take that out now or not, but I can take my caliper, slide it up on there, and then take my deal where it's got the two humps point down, and that spring there just lays on top, and just push the caliper up and move it around till I can get that started up in the groove. And just drive it in. And just line up that hump in that deal. Because this bolt that comes with the new caliper has a shoulder on it that goes, so I put it up in there like so. Alright. And we're going to see if, I don't know if the nut on that line will turn. Hey, it will. Okay, well that'll turn. Which I didn't expect that to happen. Alright, and the way this hose is made, it'll only go on one way. So you gotta get her lined up, because I don't think you can start that. Let's see. Yeah, you can't start the hose, only goes on one way, and the this little leg points out, and then the bolt's offset. So I got to have this one, and we'll put a copper washer on, put it through the brake line, put the other copper washer on. Put that bolt in. I think I'll do my final tightening with a wrench, but okay. I just want to make sure we don't get any dirt in any of this stuff before we hook it up. And then, since I got new hoses, I'm just going to take that and let it dangle. I'm going to loosen up this and unscrew the brake line. That probably only comes loose because I got a small power steering leak at the gearbox. Okay, so get that unscrewed out of there. Now let's grab a hold of this line and pick it up. Pull the clip out, and then that can drop down there, and we're good to go with that. I gotta wipe off fingers again. Then we can take the new hose and figure out it's got a, well, I'll show you on the other side, but there's a flat on that that's got to go up when it goes up through there. So I'm just going to get that started. Through there a little bit. Then take my horseshoe clip, put it up there, and then in it goes. Now tighten that up. And now we're ready to go to the other side. Now on this side, just for the heck of it, I'm going to reach up here and see if this brake line will turn. Hey, it looks like it turned. So I got her broke free. So, but we're not going to take a chance. I don't really want to replace a brake line today. So, Since this side's going to be a little different, I'm going to unhook the caliper from the hose. Make sure that's loose. Then I can pull out this clip, which I might get a new one because that one broke. Then I can bring that down through there and just unscrew the hose off of the line. Kind of cheating, but it works. Now this is just like the other side. It's got a little flat, and on these it's toward the inside. So I'll just put this back up on there. And then grab my banjo bolt with copper washer. Copper washer, come up here, grab my line. It's easier said than done getting that started. Grab my wrench and move my pan over. All right. Whew. There's that. Okay. Now in preparation to get ready to bleed, I popped the bail earlier, and I'll pull the lid off. And now the bleeder screw was loose on the driver's side, so that fluid went down, but the front reservoir for my rear brakes, I bet I got a wheel cylinder leaking. We'll go ahead and put some fluid in the front too. Now when I stopped filming yesterday, I had started the gravity bleeding process of the brakes, and I noticed how, when I was looking at the fluid coming out of the bleeder screw, I mean, it was really dark and brown looking. So I got up and looked in the master cylinder, and apparently when I filled it up, I stirred up all the crud that's in the bottom. So basically I let it bleed and just drain till the master cylinder was almost empty. Then I shut both of the bleeder screws, and then took a towel and wiped and cleaned out the inside of the reservoir of the master cylinder, and then refilled it with new fluid, and I let it run until I'm getting clean fluid coming out now, and I'm just going to let it run another couple minutes to make sure I got all the air out, and then use like a pry bar, stick in between the seat and the brake pedal, and do a little bit of pressure bleeding. And then I got to go jack up the rear end and pull the rear wheels off, and figure out why my master cylinder was low on the drum brake side. Thought I'd do a quick shine the light down in the master cylinder. That, as you can see, after I drained it and cleaned everything out, how nice and pretty it looks in there. Then when we come to the front one, even though I added fluid, it's still super dark. I mean, in that fluid, I can look down in there and easily tell the difference in the color of it. Even though the front ain't near as bad as the back was, before I fully drained it and wiped it out. Well, I'm going to finish up my episode of the brakes on the 77 F150. That I got the front brakes done, got the back brakes done, got everything bled out. Everything turned out good. Truck stops better than it has in a long time, and stops good and straight. That you know, one thing I did remember when I went to before I even left the driveway, I had those goofy Allen bolts in the front brakes holding the retainers in for the calipers. When I changed wheels, the factory bolts hit the wheels, so I had to go back and put the those bolts back in, and that's why I didn't get done until after dark. But yeah, I took it out for a drive. Everything worked good. That I appreciate you watching. That I'll say just stay tuned, because no telling what else you're going to see on What's Broke Today. Thank you.